Okay, so this workshop is Introduction to Mindfulness, and basically the format is going to be probably a little bit more talking than what is ideal in terms of what you would expect normally for mindfulness and what I would be doing with a mindfulness group. And so for the new person, we're just getting started. This is going to be a recorded workshop, so I'll ask you to turn off your video feed and to mute your audio unless you have a question or comment, which I would encourage anybody to ask at any time. So again, the format of the workshop will be involve a little bit more talking about mindfulness, kind of descriptions of mindfulness, what it is, what its benefits might be, why some people would want to do it, what it actually involves. But also throughout, there will be a number of mindfulness exercises that I will do, at least a brief one here at the beginning, and then two other ones that are kind of sprinkled throughout the rest of the presentation. And so again, it will be a little bit strange for me because I'm basically talking to myself, or I can't see you, but I'll just ask you to bear with me, and hopefully this will go well. So the first one is actually going to be an eyes open mindfulness exercise, and technically you could really do any of the exercises we're going to be doing with your eyes open if that's your preference. But more typically, some of them are going to be things that you would do with your eyes closed. This first one is an eyes opened exercise that you could basically do anywhere, and it's called a Notice 5 Things exercise. So first thing I'd like you to do is just take a couple of relaxed breaths for yourself. And then when you're ready, look around and notice 5 things that you can see. And once you've done that, I'd like you to listen carefully and notice 5 things that you can hear. Depending on where you are, this one may be a little bit more difficult. I've done this at times where it was kind of iffy as if I could hear 5 different things, but do your best. And now notice 5 things that you can feel in contact with your body. So it might be your foot on the floor, your feet on the floor, I mean. It might be feeling of sitting in a chair. It might be the feeling of your clothes on your body, temperature of the room you're in. Just notice 5 things you can feel with your sense of touch, or the senses of your body. And now do all of the above at the same time. So obviously that last one is reasonably challenging. Anybody have any comments, anything they'd like to share about what that experience was like for them? Okay. Well, so this is my first. Problem. Is there anybody more technologically adept out there? Well, let me. Okay, here we go. So I wanted to start off with a couple of definitions of mindfulness. The first one comes from John Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. And another one from Ronald Siegel, awareness of present experience with acceptance. And he later amended that to mean acceptance, to mean non-judgment and kindness or friendliness towards oneself. So yeah, and it seems like people are being kind of shy out there maybe, but is anyone willing to just mention a little bit about why they are interested in mindfulness?
I am, because I am a success coordinator on one of our campuses. I'm also a student working on my master's, but I also want to know how to help my teenage kiddo. He suffers with social anxiety and stuff, and those are things that I have dealt with. So I know sometimes the tools that help me, but I kind of want to know maybe some more general to help him.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Why you're interested in mindfulness? Okay, I don't want to cut anybody off, but if I don't hear it for a little bit, I'll just move along. So to me, there's two broad categories of why people might be interested in mindfulness and why mindfulness can be helpful to people. And the first is to reduce suffering that people might be experiencing, to help them deal with problems of different kinds. And it's been pretty well demonstrated that there are a number, for example, of psychological interventions based on mindfulness that can be helpful in dealing with a number of different issues or problems that I'll mention a little bit later. And then the second one is just to increase appreciation and the enjoyment that one has in life. So you can see here on the slide, there have been studies of people who had terminal illnesses and were in the last part of their life. And these studies have found that the biggest regret that people express was that they didn't appreciate the blessings that they had during their life when they were there. And so mindfulness can be part of that. And it can also just really help you enjoy the experiences you're having. If you're eating a good meal, but you're preoccupied with what you have to do later on, it's possible to get to the end of a meal and not even have really tasted your food very much. If you're going on a walk, and which I've certainly experienced this, and you're able to be present and really enjoy the surroundings around you, it could sometimes be a very enjoyable experience that adds to your well-being. Or you can, again, be preoccupied, you can be in your head, and you can end up a mile later not even remembering very much of the walk. So mindfulness is something that can help us be present and enjoy our lives in addition to helping us deal with problems and challenges. I don't know why this is freezing up on me. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple of descriptions of mindfulness that again relate to some of its benefits. A simple way of relating to one's experiences and dealing with life's difficulties, especially those that are self-created. And being able to see ourselves with greater clarity and make changes to enhance our health and well-being. So choosing and acting with greater discernment, being able to use better judgment in our life. Mindfulness has also been called the art of conscious living versus a life being lived on automatic pilot, where we're just reacting to things. And it involves consciously paying attention to one's moment-to-moment experiences without getting lost or caught up with thoughts about the past, worries or concerns about the future, judgments that we have about the present and what's going on in our lives, or automatic and reflexive reactions of any kind. So the automatic and reflexive reactions are what we don't want. Some additional advantages and benefits of mindfulness. I think it's a very empowering way to approach one's life because it, again, helps a person be aware of what's going on and make the decisions that are going to be to their greatest benefit. And also it can be practiced anytime, anywhere. We'll be doing again some mindfulness practices, but the idea of mindfulness is there are some practices you can do on your own, but you can also do mindfulness wherever you are. When you're walking, when you're standing in line somewhere, just about anywhere in any time. So at this point, I would like to do a second mindfulness exercise. And this is called the body scan. And for the body scan, basically what you'll be doing is with me kind of guiding you, you'll be going systematically through your body and being aware of different parts of your body and what you find there. So I would like you to get as comfortable as you can, depending where you are. This could mean sitting hopefully in a comfortable chair. It could be a reclining chair if you happen to have one. It can be laying down on the floor or on a bed if you're in your room. This is more typically what people do, but again, it depends on the setting that you're in. If you're going to lay on the floor, perhaps get a pillow, and depending on the temperature of your room, might want a light blanket to lay over you or something like that. But maybe that's not necessary wherever you are. So again, I'll just be leading you through this. We'll see. I don't know how much time I'll spend on this, probably somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. So any questions before we get started? Just like to ask you to make yourself comfortable, however you're going to be doing that. And so if you're lying down, again, try Try to be in a place where you're comfortable and where you can keep yourself warm, where you won't be disturbed. If you're in a chair, the same thing. I advise you to have your feet flat on the floor. Try to be relatively upright. It's better if you have some place where you can rest your head and neck and not have to sit with it sort of unsupported. But if that's not possible, that's the way it goes. So now if you're comfortable, you can go ahead and allow your eyes to close gently. And just take a little bit of time to get in touch with the movement of your breath and the sensations of your body. You might notice where your body is in contact either with the floor or with a chair and what that feels like at those points of contact. But in any event, when you're ready, I'd like you to allow your awareness to initially move to the abdominal region of your body. And just become aware of the movement of your breath as it flows in and out of the body. Just allowing yourself to breathe in a comfortable way, not trying to breathe in any particular fashion. Just a nice, natural, relaxed breath. Now, on each out breath, allow yourself to let go. Sink a little deeper into your bed or mat or carpet. Or if you're in a chair, just allowing your shoulders to drop a little bit and just letting go of whatever tension you notice in your body. Just noticing the sensation of the air flowing into the body and allowing yourself to let go as it flows back out. The intention of this practice is not to feel any different. It's not to feel more relaxed or more calm. Many people do feel this, but that's not the goal. The goal is just as best you can as we go through your body to bring your awareness to any sensations that you find while you're focusing your attention on each part of the body in turn. So again, bringing your awareness to the physical sensations in the abdominal or belly area, becoming aware of the changing patterns of sensations in the abdominal wall as you breathe in and as you breathe out. It's sort of like a balloon that inflates comfortably as you breathe in and deflates as you breathe out. So I'll just give you a little bit of time to go ahead and feel what that's like for you. And now I'd like you to bring your focus or the spotlight of your awareness down the left leg, into the left foot, and out to the toes of the left foot. Focus on each of the toes and the left foot in turn. Just bringing a gentle curiosity to the quality of whatever sensations you find. Perhaps noticing a sense of contact between the toes or a sense of tingling or warmth, or sometimes no particular sensation at all. Then when you're ready, on an in-breath, feel or imagine the breath entering the lungs, passing down into the abdomen, into the left leg, down the left leg into the foot, and out to the toes of the left foot. Then on the out breath, feel or imagine the breath coming all the way back up out of the foot, into the legs, up through the abdomen and the chest, and out through the nose. So as best you can, just continue this for several breaths, breathing down into the toes and back out from the toes. And if it seems like it's difficult to get the hang of this, just practice it as best you can, approaching it playfully. It's not a test. It's breathing in and out of the toes. And when you're ready, on an out breath, let go of awareness of the toes. Bring your awareness to the sensations in the bottom of your left foot. Bring that same gentle, investigative awareness to the sole of the foot, the instep, the heel. For example, noticing sensations where the heel might be in contact with the floor or your bed. Continuing possibly to be aware of the breath in the background, as in the foreground you notice any sensations that you're finding in the lower part of the left foot. Then expanding your awareness to the rest of the foot, to the top of the foot, into the bones and joints of the foot, and up into the ankle, and taking a slightly deeper breath, directing it down to the whole of the left foot, and on the out breath, letting your awareness come out of the left foot completely. Begin to move in a slow, gradual way into the lower left leg, including the calf, the shin, the knee, including the back and the front and the sides of the knee. Then up into the upper part of the left leg. Just noticing whatever sensations you find there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the right leg. So feel or imagine the breath entering the lungs, passing down into the abdomen, into the right leg, the right foot, out to the toes of the right foot. Taking a little bit of time to notice, if you can, sensations in each of your toes in turn. Then on the out breath, feel or imagine the breath coming all the way back up, out of the foot, into the leg, up through the abdomen, the chest, and out through the nose. So as we did with the left leg, just take a few moments to let you breathe into the toes of the right foot. Just doing it as best you can, not making it into a big deal. Then when you're ready, on an out breath, let go of the awareness of the right toes. Bring your awareness to the sensations on the bottom of the right foot, sole of the foot, the instep, and the heel. The bones and joints of the right foot. top of the right foot. And up to the right ankle. Then on an out breath, letting your awareness move out of the right foot altogether. Slowly and gradually begin moving up the right leg. Being aware of the calf, shin, all aspects of the knee. Then slowly up into the right upper leg. And now in a minute, we're going to continue with the rest of the body. Just remind you that the idea is just to bring a gentle interest to what you find, any kind of sensations you find in different areas of your body. And as you leave each major area of the body, ask you to breathe into it on an in-breath and let go of your awareness of that region on an out-breath. In addition, if you become aware of tension or any other intense sensations in a particular part of the body, you can feel free to breathe into them, using the in-breath to gently bring awareness to the sensations. And then as best you can, have a sense of their letting go or releasing on an out breath. So again, with your letting your awareness just be in the upper legs, both right and left. And letting it move up into the pelvic area. Maybe feeling the hip joints. And when the mind wanders away, which it will inevitably do, from awareness of the breath and the sensations of the body, just realizing that that's entirely normal. It's what minds do. So when you notice it, just gently acknowledge it. Notice where the mind has gone off to, and then gently return your attention to the part of the body that you were intending to focus on. So letting go of the awareness of the area of the pelvis on an out breath, letting your awareness move up into the area of the lower back. Noticing any sensations you feel in the lower back. Noticing once again the gentle inflation and deflation of the abdominal area. It continues on with the breath. Moving up into the area of the middle back. Notice any sensations in the chest. Again, noticing the air leaving and entering your body. Noticing sensations in the upper back. Noticing sensations in the shoulders. And allowing your awareness to move up to the neck. the back of the neck and the throat. Realizing that the neck and the shoulders are frequent places where people hold excess tension. So again, if you notice that and you'd like to breathe into that area and see if you can let it soften and let go of some of that tension, that's fine. When you're ready, allowing your awareness to move up through the throat into the area of the chin and jaw. If you notice any tension in the jaw, just letting it go, letting it soften. Allowing your awareness to move up from the area of the mouth and the jaw to the cheeks and the nose, then the eyes, just remembering to bring your attention back anytime it drifts away. Up into the temples and the forehead and the eyes. Just noticing any sensations that you find there. And then from the forehead to the top of the head. Now I'll just take a few more moments to notice your body as a whole, the breath entering and leaving the body. Feeling any sensations that you still notice at this point. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I would note that it's not unusual for people to drift off and even go to sleep. Since people's mics aren't on, you can't even hear it if somebody's snoring. But if anyone that wants to share anything about what that particular exercise and experience was like for them.
I found that when my eyes were closed, my mind raced more than if I just kind of had a low gaze or something. And then also, I don't sit well normally. I always have to be doing something, even if I'm watching TV. So it was kind of hard for me to get into it. However, I am in my office versus home, so that I'm sure that could be a part of it.
And yeah, none of those experiences are particularly unusual. That's why sometimes people, well, like for myself, I like walking meditation because one of the things I notice when I close my eyes is I get sleepy because I think I'm a little bit sleep deprived. So if it goes better for you through half opened eyes, that's fine. And some of the exercises too, could be any of them, once you start to slow down a little bit, sometimes it's not necessarily that your mind is racing more, it's that you're starting to notice it. And that's a common experience when people start to turn their attention inward, doing any kind of exercise or strategy that's related to mindfulness or other forms of meditation.
That makes a lot of sense because, yeah, I have to take sleeping pills, because that my mind races and stuff. So that would make sense that it would affect this as well. I guess this is something too, is just the more one practices, it becomes easier, or
Yeah, I mean, I think people over time the body and the mind start to settle down. Now, I'm not going to claim that, you just do it for a few months and you'll enter some Zen-like state of nirvana or anything like that. But like with anything else, the more you practice it, the more you'll begin to learn. And it's not all the cognitive part of the brain that's learning. It's other parts of the mind as well. So, yeah. Anyone else? Okay. So I just want to talk a little bit about that was actually a very good lead-in, so thank you for that, about meditation and the mind. So many of the people who have done these practices and have done their own research on the mind have found that much of the time, what the mind is involved with, you've described it as racing, but with some people, other people have described it as slightly anxious goal seeking, focusing on something, scanning the environment. Then, of course, if we close our eyes, there can be a certain amount of which, when we're not distracted, our mind can even pick up the pace as far as the thoughts that are moving through it, or kind of a zoning out or sort of a spaciness. Sometimes people have that experience. So, but what we're looking for in terms of mindfulness meditation is more of an alert, conscious presence. So we're not trying to avoid anything, nor are we kind of scanning the environment, seeking something. So we're trying to allow ourselves to settle into the present moment and either enjoy it or at least be more present in it, so that we can decide what we want to do in that moment. Oops.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the not to avoid, I guess what you had just said reminded me that at the beginning of the presentation, you were saying that, I think when we were going over the definitions, and that somebody had changed something to say good or positive feelings or something.
Kindness and
Yeah.
and sometimes referred to as self-compassion.
Yeah, that's something that that did happen or occurred to me while I was trying to do relax, and how you said, feel your body here or there, and the awareness of it. And maybe because I'm a woman or whatnot, but those, negative thoughts or, insecurities and whatnot come in. And so do you feel them, or do you ignore them because you're trying to be positive, or does that take more?
Again, I'm really not claiming to be a meditation master of any kind, but I have gone to seminars and talked to and heard from people who would fit that bill. And their advice is always you just try to bring your awareness back to whatever you were focusing on. So if you were focusing on the breath, you bring your awareness back to the breath. If you were doing some kind of walking meditation and you were focusing on sensations in the body connected with walking, you bring your awareness back to the sensations in the body connected with walking. And so I have a handout that I give people at the beginning of the group that says you focus on one thing at a time, you bring your attention back to that when it's drifted away, and then you repeat that process several billion times, because it's an ongoing process. It's what the mind does. And so it's actually one of the things that I think is pretty important if you're going to start to try to practice mindfulness, is to realize that that's the universal human experience. And so it's not like, oh my gosh, I can't focus, I can't concentrate, what's wrong with me? My mind keeps going here and there. This is what minds do, and people tend to become more aware of it when they start practicing some form of mindful meditation. So it can be, I'm not saying it can't be frustrating. I'm not saying that people like it, or that even that I like it, but the more you get upset, the more then you've gone even further away from whatever you're trying to focus or concentrate on. So without a judgment, like what's wrong with me? Oh, there I go again. You just try to notice where the mind is gone and bring it back. And you can't even congratulate yourself. Oh, caught myself again, and bring it back. So that's what they say.
Okay,
And
yeah, that helps. And again, I think that helps me remember, maybe before I go into it, have an intention or a focus or even a word or something, so that I do have something to come back to, rather than a non-focused type deal.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And with mindfulness, it can be anything. And it can be something internal. It can be something in your environment, depending on what you're doing and where you are. And I mean, you could just be taking a couple of minutes to kind of come back to your center, feel your breath in your body a little bit, feel your feet on the ground, notice the sky. Today was probably the first day we've had a really clear sky for months. So just noticing what's going on in the environment, but you're doing it in the present moment, and it's giving you a break from whatever you might be worrying about. Sometimes, as you can see in this slide, this is also described as trying to step out of the thought stream. So the thoughts do come pretty continuously, almost like a river moving downhill. And so when one is caught in the thought stream, you tend to be unhappy because you tend to be worrying, you tend to be thinking about something in the past that you didn't like, that somebody said, or something that happened to you. And beyond all that, it's been found that minds tend to have a negativity bias of a sorts, where we tend to be dissatisfied with what's going on, with who we are or what's happening in our lives. And some of us, myself included, tend to complain about this sometimes. So this has been expressed in a number of ways. The mind is constantly giving us report cards, is one way. So what we're trying to do with mindfulness is just cultivate a more present sense and a more satisfied or grateful sense of being in the present moment. And we're trying not to be sort of linked to or chained to our thoughts, because this is a problem, both for people who are doing therapy in the kind of the Western model and the more traditional Eastern mindfulness model. Being too tied to your own thoughts can lead to lots of other problems. So I've already talked a little bit about the negativity bias, so I'm not going to go into that. I do like this quote here, which says the mind is Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good experiences. This is kind of an aside, but it's one of the reasons why there are positive psychology exercises or suggestions that people practice gratitude and write down some of the things they're grateful for in their life. It's kind of to counterbalance, again, what is a normal human tendency to look for problems and try to solve them rather than really appreciating sometimes the good things that we have in our life and the things that we do have to be grateful for. And this negativity bias is viewed as a product of human evolution. So it's good for helping us survive. We're dealing with problems. We're preparing for things that could go wrong. But it seems like these days, many of us have taken it past the point where it's useful, and it becomes something that works against our own psychological well-being. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about training or mindfulness practice. And again, the goals to reduce suffering by gaining insight and develop greater wisdom, compassion, and appreciation for life. And then developing this ability to unchain oneself from one's own thoughts. So those are some of the, I'd say, the major goals of mindfulness training. Seeking separation from one's thoughts. Again, I kind of jumped the gun and talked about this a little bit. Sometimes referred to as taking a step back or disengaging from one's thoughts and realizing that thoughts are not reality. And they really aren't, even though all of us oftentimes spend our lives acting as if every thought we have is a reality. So this kind of reminder that thoughts are not reality, that thoughts are just thoughts, feelings are just feelings. They can be very intense, but they are just feelings and they are just thoughts. And so a lot of times this practice is geared towards helping people remember that they are not their thoughts and they are not their feelings. I think I've already talked about most of this. I guess the maybe this bottom part I haven't talked about very much, but it has been found that mindfulness practice, even a couple of months of mindfulness practice, actually begins to rewire people's brains and develop certain parts of the brain that are related to greater perceptiveness, even greater interpersonal perceptiveness, and greater experiences of peace, and kind of tamping down of the fight or flight response that we sometimes get under stress, some of the reactions that we have, whether they're emotional or physical, that are not either distressing or can be destructive in our lives. And so it's something that you can experience for yourself, but the reason why you can experience it for yourself is that the brain actually starts to change with consistent mindfulness practice. So these are the components of mindfulness training. Cultivating awareness by slowing down, by observing things, whether they're inside the body or the mind or outside in the rest of the world. Repeatedly returning awareness to whatever object one is focusing on. So whatever you're intending to focus on, just bringing your awareness back to that particular focus. Mindfulness is generally, I would say, for by less severe problems, I mean not necessarily for major mental illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, or someone who's in the midst of clinical depression, but with adjustment issues, depression and anxiety, to be sure, but more depression and anxiety that are kind of in the normal range as opposed to the more severe range, and problems with living and challenges of living, which we all have. So it's good for stress and anxiety management. It's good for people who have had several episodes of prevention to help prevent them sliding back into prevention or to depression. It's good for chronic pain. And it's good for a number of personality issues and tendencies that might be getting in the way of living a happy life and living a productive life. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, also enjoying life more and increasing one's sense of well-being. These are some formal mindfulness activities. So you've already done one of them, which was the body scan. If you were to decide you wanted to participate in our 4 to 5 week mindfulness group, these are some of the others that we would do. We will actually be doing a sitting meditation at the end of this workshop, but walking meditation, which is actually my favorite, eating meditations, those are 4 of the main formal meditations that can be done. There's also self-compassion meditation that I forgot to put on this slide. But there are also a variety of informal meditation practices. And basically, they just involve paying attention to something and trying to pay attention to that throughout your day. This can be, you can practice mindfulness meditation when you're taking a shower. We've already talked about walking. When you're standing somewhere, say you're standing in line waiting to talk to somebody in the registrar's office or something like that. When you're driving a car, I would be careful with this one. You still want to pay attention to the road. But waiting for a bus meditation, eating lunch meditation, doing the dishes meditation, really anything. I'm not recommending that you try to meditate all day long, because obviously we still have to do things. We have to study, we have to attend classes and so on. But just to know that really with any activity, if you want to, you can take a little bit of time to sort of let go of your tension a little bit, take a few breaths, natural, relaxed breaths, and just pay attention to whatever it is you're doing. So aspects of meditation, mindfulness meditation include focused attention. So I've already mentioned this, focusing on one thing at a time, not getting lost in thoughts or feelings about the past or future, or even thoughts or feelings about the present. Observing the external world or the inner world, which inner world can be noticing physical sensations, noticing thoughts and feelings. And the external world is noticing, really focusing on what you're experiencing through any of your senses. And then practicing non-judgment. So you're limiting evaluations. You're focusing on what is, not what you think should be or what you want to be the case, but what is the case. And then working on accepting, be willing to accept that reality. So you're just being willing to experience whatever reality is going on instead of struggling against it. Again, this isn't to say that you can't change it, but kind of taking stock and then deciding what you want to do as opposed to struggling against it reflexively. So letting go of useless and counterproductive struggles, maybe over the things that you can't control at all in your life, or maybe things that you're trying to control, but you're going about it in an unfortunate way. So any questions or comments about any of that before we do our last mindfulness practice? If not, so I would like you for this one probably, if you have a chair, to be sitting up. So try to sit in a comfortable position with your feet, flat on the floor, relatively upright position, but not one that's tense or rigidly upright, but just relaxed and as upright as you can, kind of centering your head and neck between your shoulders so that they can support them, and as best you can, and you're not kind of leaning one way or the other, but just a nice upright and relaxed posture as best you can. And then again, if you prefer, you can close your eyes part way, enough that you're not kind of scanning your environment or looking at anything in particular, but you don't have to close them all the way. If you're comfortable closing them all the way, you can go ahead and do so. And first, I'd just like you to notice the sensations of your body sitting. I assume sitting in a chair. Noticing the places of contact where your body's being supported by the chair, and just what that feels like. And then once again, noticing the sensations of air entering and leaving your body. Just breathing in a comfortable, relaxed way. Feeling the abdomen inflating gently as air comes into the body and deflating comfortably as air leaves the body. Or if you prefer, you can just notice the sensations around your nostrils where the air is entering and then leaving the body. It's taking a little bit of time to experience your body sitting in a chair and experiencing the breath flowing into and out of your body. And when you're ready, I'd like you to let your awareness shift to the areas of your body that are involved with hearing. And just allow your sense of hearing to relax and open and expand. So there's a receptiveness to sounds as they arise, wherever they arise. So realizing there's no need to go searching for sounds or listening for particular sounds. Just as best you can, simply let your mind be receptive and aware of sounds from all directions as they arise. Hearing sounds both near and far. Hearing sounds that might be coming from in front of you or behind you or to either side of you. Maybe even depending on where you are, from above or below you. Just opening your mind to a whole world of sounds around you. Being aware of obvious sounds and more subtle sounds. Maybe even little glimpses of silence. As best you can, being aware of sounds simply as sensations without trying to name them or think about them. If you find you are thinking about sounds rather than hearing them, simply allow your mind to reconnect with a more direct experience of the sensory qualities of the sounds around you. If you notice your awareness is no longer focused on sounds in the moment, gently acknowledge where the mind has gone. Return awareness back to the sounds as they arise and pass from one moment to the next. Now I'd just like you to imagine, let your awareness come back to your breath for a little bit. Now I'd like you to imagine your mind is like an ocean. From deep in the ocean, beneath the surface, found a place that's calm and clear. Doesn't matter what's going on the surface of the ocean. From where you are, deep down in the ocean. You can just notice the activity up on the surface, as if you're looking up through waves, in this case, brain waves, to what's on the surface of the mind. While you're doing this, if you ever want to, you can just allow your attention to go back to the breath for a little while. Then just follow the breath back down to ground yourself in this deep, tranquil place. From the depth of your mind, it's possible to become aware of the activities of the mind and to discern that they are not the totality of who you are. You're more than your thoughts. You're more than just a feeling. You can have those thoughts and feelings and also be able to notice them with the wisdom that they are not your identity. They are not who you are. They're just parts of your mind's experience. For some people, naming the type of mental activity that you notice, like feeling or thinking or remembering or worrying, can help allow these activities of the mind to be noted as mental events that can gently float away out of awareness. So just take a little bit more time feeling what it's like in this deeper and more tranquil part of the mind, and even enjoying it. And recognizing that you can find your way back here whenever you'd like to. Just kind of soak it in. Then when you're ready, I'd like you to just begin to follow your breath again. Just be aware of your breath as it enters and leaves the body. Be aware of your body sitting in a chair, feeling the contact with the chair, feeling your posture, even feeling your facial expression. Just being with your body, sitting in a chair, with the breath flowing in and out. And then whenever you're ready, you can just take a little bit deeper breath and let it go and open your eyes. So I guess first, any experiences or anything anyone would like to share from that sitting meditation? I didn't look closely when we started. My guess is it was about 15 minutes long. If not, here is a list of some of the resources that you might want to use. I'll give you a little bit of time in case anybody wants to take any of those down. This first one is Aggie's Wellness. That's our website here at Utah State, CAPS. The second one, Wayne Martin, is actually just a licensed social worker. I think maybe he lives in Texas. I don't remember. You can go on his website. He has a lot of resources, guided meditations, some paced breathing. Mindfulness Solution is Ronald Siegel's website. You can go on that website, and across the top, there's a place where you can click and you can either download or just play. I think it's 15, 16, 17, I don't remember exactly how many, guided meditations of various lengths. And some of them are quite good and quite enjoyable to practice. The bottom two are just resources for anybody who might have some problems sleeping. They're basically sort of nature sound websites that you can go to and kind of build your own soundtrack of nature noises, nature sounds, depending on what it is that you like for yourself. So I'll just maybe read this and then move back in case anybody was still trying to write stuff. He who binds himself to joy does the winged life destroy, but he who kisses joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise. Any of you that know anything about William Blake, he was someone I think that was well acquainted with the idea of mindfulness and its benefits. So that's what I have today.